Hey everybody, welcome back to Video So taking another fun and random episode for you guys this evening because on Monday the makers of Celeste released Celeste 64, which is a 3D reimagining of some parts of the game. And while I normally don't do stuff on modern gaming, it seems like I can't go a day without some awesome retro experience being released, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, because this is basically a love letter to Super Mario 64 and the Nintendo 64, and we've been talking about that a lot on the channel obviously. Before I get too far involved, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But from what I played of Celeste 64, I can tell you, even though this is a quick game made by the developers just to celebrate an anniversary, this should become a full game. I want a full Celeste in 3D. This should definitely be a path I think they take in the future. It's got a great sense of humor and charm just like the original game, but now in full 3D, looking like a modern version of a Nintendo 64 game. When I played the ever-loving hell out of Celeste when it released, it drove me nuts. It is one of the hardest games I've ever played. I might not be that good at it, but I had an absolute blast the entire time. So when I heard this came out, I 100% downloaded it that night, took a look at it, and decided it was definitely worth making a video for me personally, because I love to celebrate all of this new retro gaming fun we're having in 2024. But just like Celeste in 2D, in 3D it's not going to be any easier whatsoever. You now have full range of motion in 3D as well as a free roaming camera, and you're going to have to utilize that time and time again to understand what's going to happen next and where you need to go. Because this game is every bit as hard as the original Celeste, but now in 3D. Which means it's also as addictively fun as the original Celeste, now with a third dimension to play around with. And trust me when I say, finding where these strawberries are is going to be the easy part. You can free roam the camera and see where you need to go. Actually getting there is going to be what breaks your brain half the time. There's definitely a lot of secrets, breakable walls, and other things within the world of Celeste 64, and the sense of discovery and navigation is one of my favorite things about the entire game. Sure, the camera can get stuck in some weird spots every once in a while, but honestly it's a small price to pay for what feels like an extremely polished experience, and it really does just make me want a full sequel to Celeste except in the third dimension. You'll see you have a lot of the same similar navigation styles as you would in the original game, but now you have to navigate that within a full 3D space. It takes a little while to get used to. You definitely didn't play a platformer this hard in 3D back on the Nintendo 64, but it works here. If you make a mistake, it's because you made the mistake. You need to learn all of the controls, and they will definitely make you learn every technique if you want to see a new strawberry, especially one that's difficult to get to. Like right here, you need to run and quickly turn like you would in Super Mario 64 to get extra height on your jump. You're going to have to master every single mechanic Celeste 64 has to offer, and you're going to be tricked into doing the wrong thing. Like right there, you can use your forward thrust mechanic, but you're not going to be able to get over that spiked little ball in front of you. I did this for a reason, just to show you there is that power-up dangling right there, but you might not know to pick it up in the beginning. You need to utilize that, and every other platforming mechanic you've learned so far, you need to be able to run here, quickly pivot and turn. You'll see there I failed at it, and on this next try I'm going to get that strawberry. I love this gameplay hook, knowing what you need to do but being able to execute absolutely everything perfectly with a big risk versus reward mechanic. When you get it right, every single strawberry you collect in Celeste 64 feels like a massive accomplishment. When you make a mistake, it just drives you to want to jump right back in and try it again, because there's so many different areas in this game to explore, so many hidden things. It really is hard to believe that this is just kind of a love letter to the fans on an anniversary and not something that was going to be a fully featured game available for sale. As you can go and download this right now. It is 100% worth your time. Depending on how good you are, it might take 20 minutes or it might take 20 hours, you never know. But all the different mechanics are here and they work so well in 3D. You just need to remember that pretty much every puzzle, as far as the platforming is concerned, can be solved by a combination of sheer movement as well as camera angles. Sometimes you're going to realize with the full 3D camera, there's different ways to approach the same area. Sometimes you're going to find an angle that actually makes it easier. Sometimes you're going to realize the camera angle doesn't matter whatsoever. And sometimes you're going to find that the camera angle you've chosen actually makes things more difficult to navigate within that full 3D space. And I will say, just like the original game, the soundtrack on this is absolutely charming. Listen, and I'll be right back. Amazing soundtrack, but you wouldn't expect anything else from the team behind Celeste. And once you get to the tape levels as well, this is where things get exceedingly hard. These are basically the hardest parts of the game. It's like a puzzle within a 3D platforming navigation maze. You have to execute absolutely everything perfectly if you're going to get the strawberry at the end. I have not 100% completed this game yet, and it'll probably take me a ton of hours to do so. But the great part is you have fun when you're failing. The gameplay hook just makes you want to keep trying, and that's the best compliment I can give any game that challenges me and completely kills me every single time I play it. If I want to go back in and continue to try to achieve something, that means it is fun. And don't forget, there's going to be a lot of hidden areas in this game as well, so be on the lookout for strawberries when you're falling to your death. Sometimes you will notice them. But some areas in this game are just mind-bendingly complex, and I don't really want to show you exactly how to achieve them because a lot of the joy is in the discovery in this game. I'm kind of just showing you how to get strawberries where it is down to your pure platforming skill and not really trying to solve any puzzles. But this MC Escher looking block right here is going to trick your brain so many different times. But the fun part is once you finally figure out what the solution could potentially be, that is where the real reward in Celeste 64 comes. But again, definitely look around everywhere you're going because at only one camera angle are you going to see that there's another hidden strawberry down here. That's the name of the game. Some of this is just going to be pure platforming where you need to be perfect. Other times it's going to trick you and try to make you not see something that is there. In a lot of ways, this has similar vibes to Fez, where when you rotated the camera, you could find out and discover something that you had no idea was in your vision. It was only based on the angle. But other areas like this are just going to require that pure platforming perfection. When you die, you know it's because you made a mistake, and when you succeed, you know it's because your reflexes, your read of the situation, and your character movement were all spot on. And even though this is a game made very quickly just for fun, the level of ability to actually navigate around and control your character is top notch. You are never going to die because the game fought you. You're only going to die because you did not control the game correctly. And that is spectacular. It's so wild to see how well the Celeste formula actually transitions over to 3D. You would think that this would not be the type of game that would be as good if you went to the third dimension, but honestly, playing this, I have every bit as much fun with it as I do the original Celeste, and in some ways maybe a little bit more because I just love everything about it. And I will say the graphical stylings, that pseudo cell shading there, all of the geometry being simple yet effective, it just works for me. And again, you need to be careful in this game. Sometimes you think you rush ahead, but honestly, going slow is going to be the name of the game on certain strawberries. Just take your time, slow down. The game makes you think that you need to rush, but there is no timer whatsoever. And I love this little path down here below as well. Looks like an MC Escher drawing where if you turn the camera the right way, you could almost connect those paths, but you still need to make a jump. But I'm going to give you one more taste of the soundtrack. The soundtrack in these secret tape areas, because it's one of my favorite tracks in the entire game. Go ahead and listen for 30 seconds and I'll come back and tell you a little bit more about Celeste 64. I just love that song, and if any area in the game reminds me of the 3D Mario games more than that one, I couldn't imagine what it would be, because that's basically every single ounce of Super Mario 64 and every other 3D Mario game distilled into one area in the best way possible. This is just 3D platforming perfection, and the shocking thing is, it's not even a retail game. It's just a small demo the developer Celeste had fun with in the background. So if you're thinking whether or not you should try this, let this be your one notification. It costs nothing, you have nothing to lose, and it is insanely fun. For a fun demo to celebrate an anniversary, this has become one of my favorite gaming experiences in 2024, and that's why I decided to do a video on something modern. Short of that, we're done. Go play Celeste, and I'll see you guys next time, but trust me, it's hard. Bye bye.